The message that changed everything. The stars over the rim sector were quiet, too quiet. The once lively planets now burned in silence. Entire systems had gone dark, and no one knew why. A distress call traveled across the stars, desperate and shaky. It came from a small planet named Relkar. Their leaders spoke with trembling voices. To any who can hear us, we beg for aid. We are under attack by machines from beyond the void. We have no defenses left. Please, someone, help us. The call repeated over and over, bouncing through the galactic network. Dozens of species heard it. Most looked away. Some whispered that it was already too late, but one species didn't turn away. One species didn't hesitate. Earth received the call. At first, the human leaders thought it was a joke. Relkar was on the edge of space, far beyond the common travel routes. But when they decoded the transmission and saw the images, burning cities, falling ships, strange machines tearing through colonies, the humans grew quiet. Commanders met in the war room beneath the Earth Defense Tower. They listened, watched, and said nothing for a long time. Then General Thomas stood up. Relkar isn't even part of the Galactic Council, someone said. They are not our allies. Thomas looked around the room. Does it matter? He replied coldly. They asked for help. We are Deathworlders. If we don't answer, who will? Some officers nodded. Others looked nervous. But deep inside, they all knew the truth. Humans came from Earth, a world so harsh, it made predators run and storms seem alive. Earth trained its people to be strong, smart, and fierce. The rest of the galaxy feared them. Not because they were evil, but because they were survivors. Deathworlders. Thomas sent one order to every fleet station on Earth: Armada formation. Full response. We move in 72 hours. While other species debated and doubted, Earth prepared. Factories lit up the night sky. Massive black ships rose from their cradles. Thousands of soldiers were called back from rest. Pilots ran to their fighters. Engineers loaded nukes and rail cannons. Across the system, the message spread: Relkar called for help. We are the answer. In a far-off moon base, a young officer named Layla stared at the growing armada. She had never seen anything like it: 20 Titan-class carriers, hundreds of escort destroyers, and thousands of fighters. All of it brimming with the fury of Earth. Her captain stood beside her. You're looking at history, Layla, he said. This isn't just war. This is a message to the stars. When you cry for help, Deathworlders don't send prayers. We send fire. Layla nodded, her jaw tight. They have no idea what's coming, do they? No, he replied, but they will. Back on Relkar, hope was fading fast. The skies were black with machine storms. The Relkari leaders had started evacuating children underground. Their old warships had all fallen. They believed no one was coming. Then, one quiet morning, something broke through the clouds. A ripple. A hum. A shadow, then another. And another, until the sky filled with shapes, black, sharp, and massive. The clouds parted as the first human dreadnought arrived. Its engines alone blew away the thick smoke hanging over the planet. On the ground, the Relkari looked up, blinking in disbelief. One old elder whispered, "Is it the end?" Beside him, a child asked, "No, are those the ones we called?" The machines paused, sensors picking up new readings. They had never seen human tech before. Not like this. And then, it began. The armada opened fire. White-hot beams lit the skies. Rail cannons roared like thunder. Fighter wings streaked down and tore through enemy lines. Machine hulks exploded midair. The ground shook under the might of human warships. The message from Earth had been received, but the reply wasn't words. It was war. The sky burns with human fury. The sky of Relkar had turned into fire. Human dreadnoughts moved like steel mountains through the air. Their cannons fired in rhythm, each blast shaking the ground. Where the enemy machines once stood tall and fearless, now they scattered and burned. Commander Ilya stood on the bridge of the stone wall, a massive human flagship. His voice was calm, but his eyes sharp. Target their forward engines. Cut off their escape. Then crush their command ship. His crew worked fast. No panic. No fear. These were Deathworlders trained to fight in storms, in fire, in space, or on broken ground. Far below, the Relkari people watched in awe from bunkers and craters. What they had seen for days, dark clouds, explosions, and metal monsters, was now changing. Now they saw flashes of light. Now they heard the sound of human war. For the first time in weeks, the machines fell back. Their perfect formations broke. They couldn't predict human tactics. They weren't ready for pilots who dove into danger and ground troops who kept fighting with broken armor and bleeding limbs. Near the southern ridge, a group of Relkari survivors huddled behind rocks. One of them, a healer named Bren, whispered, "They came. I can't believe it. They actually came." An older soldier nodded, eyes wet. "And they brought the storm with them." In orbit, Earth's Titan-class carriers unleashed wave after wave of dropships. Heavy transports filled with exo-armored soldiers fell like comets. Wherever they landed, machines died. One team, led by a woman named Kara, hit the machine supply line behind enemy lines. Her squad moved fast and silent, planting charges and sabotaging cores. "They think we are soft," Kara muttered. "Let's teach them the truth." Booms echoed through the valley. Machine carriers exploded in massive fireballs, and their reinforcements never arrived. By nightfall, half the enemy forces were gone, but Earth's leaders weren't celebrating. Back aboard the stone wall, new scans came in. Commander Ilya's face darkened as the enemy readings grew stronger. More ships, heavier weapons, new patterns. "They are adapting," he said. "They've started analyzing us." A young officer nearby frowned. "Will that be a problem?" "Sir?" "No," Ilya replied. "That means they'll stay and fight. And if they stay, we end them." The machines were learning. But they didn't understand one thing: humans were not logical like computers. They didn't follow strict battle codes. They bent rules. They improvised. They sacrificed. They won. Back on the ground, Kara's team was cut off by advancing enemy drones. The sky had turned red from fires and her comms were down. "Time to hold, boys," she said, reloading her weapon. "If we die buying time." Her team nodded, ready to make a final stand, but just as the first machine unit appeared, a new sound rumbled through the smoke, a deep hum, followed by crashing metal. A second later, a walking tank, twice the size of a building, smashed through the wall behind them, painted on the front in bold white, Unit 09, Deathworld siege armor. The hatch opened. A human pilot grinned and shouted, "Need a lift?" Kara laughed and jumped in. Now it's a party. With the siege unit leading, they broke through the line and rejoined the front. Back in orbit, the machine command vessel began to retreat. Its AI core calculated survival chances dropping rapidly. It chose escape, but Earth had already prepared for that. From behind a distant moon, 3 black ships decloaked, part of Earth's shadow fleet. They fired at once. The command ship never stood a chance. It split into pieces, floating in silence. The war on Relkar was not over yet. But it had changed. Now, the machines were afraid. They had come expecting easy prey, but instead, they had met Deathworlders. The Deathworlder advanced. The ground cracked under human boots as Earth's forces pushed forward. Tanks rolled over shattered roads. Armored walkers stomped through thick smoke. Above them, fighters chased the last of the enemy air units, burning holes through the clouds with lasers and rail bursts. Commander Ilya watched the battle map from the stone wall. Red zones, once showing enemy control, were shrinking fast. "Sector 7 is clear," an officer reported. "All machine units neutralized." "Good," Ilya said. "Push the line forward. We take the capital by sunrise." Far below, Kara's squad joined another unit near the edge of Relkar's capital. The machine's defenses were thick, walls of steel, hidden turrets, and fields full of automated mines. But humans didn't stop. They moved like fire, burning through resistance. In the center of the ruined city, the Relkari survivors were hiding beneath the old temple. Bren, the healer, helped wounded civilians while listening to the thundering sounds above. "Are the humans still fighting?" a child asked. "Yes," Bren whispered. "They haven't stopped since they arrived." The leader of the Relkari, an old warrior named Jorin, approached with a limp. "They fight not for reward, but for us. I never thought anyone would." He looked toward the shaking ceiling. The humans had become more than soldiers, they were a wall between life and extinction. Back in orbit, the Earth fleet received a signal, encrypted, urgent. A second wave of enemy forces was arriving, not machines this time. A command species. Intelligent. Ruthless, their ships were larger, armed with new weapons. These weren't mindless drones. These were the builders. The ones who had unleashed the machines on Relkar. They were coming to finish the job. Commander Ilya read the data and turned to his fleet. All ships. Prepare for deep space interception. No retreat. We end them here. Across the Armada, the call echoed, Deathworlders, hold the line. The stone wall and 2 other flagships pulled away from Relkar's orbit. They moved into open space, right into the enemy's path. On the planet, Kara got the update through her patched comms. A second wave, she said. They are serious. That means we hit harder, replied her captain. Kara smiled. Good. I hate warming up. With Relkar's capital in sight, the human forces launched their final ground assault. Explosions tore through machine bunkers. Drones dropped from the sky, sliced apart by precision missiles. Human soldiers moved like a storm, fast, deadly, unstoppable. In the middle of the chaos, a machine tower activated a strange pulse. Human systems flickered. Several armored units froze. Kara ducked behind a wall as sparks danced across her suit. EMP tech, she shouted. They are jamming our gear. But humans had trained for this. Switch to manual, her captain ordered. We don't need tech. We are the weapon. Kara ripped off her damaged helmet, grabbed her sidearm, and charged. Her team followed, through smoke, past fallen drones, straight into the tower. Inside, glowing cables lined the walls. At the top, a core pulsed with blue light. It was the control hub for the machines on Relkar. Kara planted a charge beneath it. Let's turn off their brain. She pressed the trigger. The explosion shook the entire block. The core vanished in fire. Every machine unit still active around the city stuttered, then dropped. Silence followed. Outside, the Relkari raised their heads from shelters. The enemy was gone. Only humans remained, standing in the burning light. For the first time in weeks, Relkar saw clear skies. Back in orbit, the second wave of alien ships finally entered range, but Earth's fleet was waiting. They weren't machines. They weren't cold calculators, they were human, and when the enemy opened fire, the war truly began. The war above the stars. The second wave arrived in full force, sleek black ships with red energy signatures, bristling with alien weapons. These were not drones. These were the architects, the masters of the machines. And they came to crush whatever was left of Relkar, but Earth was ready. In high orbit, 3 Titan-class warships held position, their weapons charged, shields glowing. Commander Ilya stood firm on the bridge of the stone wall. Ahead, hundreds of alien ships moved into attack formation. Behind him, the human armada waited in silence. We hold the line, Ilya said. We do not fall back. The first shot came from the enemy, a beam of searing red light that struck the outer hull of a human frigate. It didn't pierce, but it shook the ship hard. Ilya gave a single nod. Return fire. Earth's warships lit up the void, massive kinetic rounds launched like thunderbolts. Plasma beams sliced through space. Drones launched from carrier bays in tight flocks, darting toward the enemy with explosive payloads. The stars turned into a battlefield. Alien cruisers returned fire, launching missiles with strange, twisting movement. Some broke through. A human destroyer was hit directly, spinning before vanishing in a flash. But Earth did not waver. Aboard the Iron Reach, one of Earth's flanking ships, Captain Myra narrowed her eyes. They are using adaptive targeting, she said. Change the attack rhythm. Unpredictable patterns only. Human ships began weaving through space like dancers in a storm. Every volley came from a new direction, new angle. Earth didn't fight like a machine. It fought like a wild animal, and animals from a death world knew how to kill. Down on Relkar, the skies shimmered as the battle raged above. The Relkari survivors stared up in silence, watching what looked like entire stars being born and destroyed. Bren clutched the hand of a child. That light, those are the humans. Durin, the old soldier, stepped forward. No. That is Earth's fury. In a forward outpost on the planet, Kara and her squad stood on a rooftop, watching debris rain down like meteor showers. Suddenly, her comm crackled. Command to Kara. We have a new mission. You're being redirected. Redirected? She asked. We just secured the capital. We know, Command replied. Now we need you in orbit. An hour later, Kara stood in the hangar of the stone wall, suiting up in full combat armor. This was no longer a ground war. Earth was planning something bigger. Commander Ilya walked into the hangar. You'll board the stealth dropship Wraith. We've located the command node of the enemy fleet. It's on their capital vessel. You and your team will infiltrate it and destroy it from the inside. Kara raised a brow. You want us to sneak into their command ship in the middle of a war? That's exactly what I want, Ilya said. We are Deathworlders. We don't wait to be attacked. We strike. Moments later, Wraith detached from the stone wall and vanished into the darkness, invisible to sensors. The battle continued to rage above Relka. Explosions tore through the black, ships blinked out of existence, and Earth's line slowly pushed forward. But the enemy fought with desperation. They were not used to losing. Inside the alien command vessel, strange lights pulsed as the architects discussed tactics, their voices cold and artificial. Human losses within expected range, one said. But their resistance pattern is unstable. Illogical. We cannot predict. Then the alarms rang. The Wraith had landed. Kara and her team emerged into the cold, metallic hallways of the enemy ship. It felt alive. The walls pulsed. The air was strange, heavy. Stay sharp, Kara said. One wrong step and we are gone. As they moved deeper, they passed vats of liquid metal, drone factories, glowing cores. Then they reached it, the central brain. A massive orb floated in the center of the room, connected to every part of the fleet. If it fell, the enemy network would crash. This is it, Kara said. Plant the charges. But before they could move, the lights turned red. Defense units dropped from the ceiling. The architects had been waiting. Deathworlders behind enemy lines. Blades dropped from the ceiling. Thin, floating drones with glowing red eyes spun into motion, surrounding Kara's team. Form up, she shouted. The squad took defensive positions, guns raised. The enemy drones moved fast, too fast for normal eyes. But humans weren't normal. Kara rolled, dodging a blade as it skimmed past her face. She fired 3 times, 2 into the drone's chest, the last through its head. It dropped instantly. Others rushed in. The humans didn't flinch. They fought like monsters from a darker world. One soldier, Jack, grabbed a drone mid-flight, slammed it into a wall, and crushed its core. Another, Maya, dove under a plasma beam and returned fire with a shoulder cannon that vaporized the hallway. This was why Earth was feared, not because of size. Not because of numbers, because Deathworlders didn't stop. After a brutal minute, the last drone fell. The team stood in silence, breathing heavy. Kara looked down at her arm, blooded from a slice, but she smiled. Still alive, she said. Let's finish this. They reached the command brain. It pulsed faster now, aware of their presence. Screens on the walls flickered with alien symbols. Automated voices warned of intruders. Kara placed the charges while the others held guard. As the last one clicked into place, the orb suddenly spoke. A voice, not mechanical, but smooth and full of strange tones, echoed through the room. You are flawed. Weak. Predictable. Why fight for a dying world? Kara laughed. You still don't get it. We are not here for rewards. We are not here for power. We are here because someone asked for help. She tapped her visor. And we are the ones who answer. She pressed the detonator and ran. The charges exploded with blinding light. The command brain shattered into pieces. Systems across the ship glitched and failed. Outside, in orbit, the effect was instant. The enemy fleet hesitated. Their movements slowed. Some cruisers lost power and drifted. Others crashed into each other. Coordination broke down. Commander Ilya saw the change and ordered full assault. All ships, fire at will. Bring them down. Earth's fleet pushed forward with overwhelming force. Human dreadnoughts tore through the enemy lines. Fighters weaved in and out, striking without mercy. It was no longer a battle. It was a clean-up. The enemy ships began to retreat, but Earth didn't let them go. One by one, the enemy was hunted down and destroyed. Down on Relkar, the sky cleared for the second time. The people stood in silence, watching glowing wreckage fall. Like shooting stars, Bren, the healer, wept as he looked up. They did it. They really did it. Jorin put a hand on his shoulder. And they didn't even know us. From orbit, Commander Ilya sent a final transmission to Earth. Relkar is free. The enemy has been wiped out. Casualties are acceptable. Mission complete. He then added something of his own. They begged for help. And we sent the storm. In the wreck of the alien ship, Kara's team returned to the Wraith. Bruised, blooded, but alive. As they lifted off, she looked back at the burning vessel. You picked the wrong galaxy to mess with. Asterisk. The message to the galaxy. Relkar was quiet now. The skies were no longer filled with enemy ships or smoke. The sun broke through the clouds for the first time in many days, lighting the broken cities below. People emerged from bunkers and shelters. They walked carefully, unsure if the silence meant safety. But then they saw the human ships still hovering in the sky, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Relkar had been saved, and the galaxy had felt the ripple. The Galactic Council, far across the stars, watched the data feed in silence. News spread fast. Dozens of species tuned in. The battle logs, the images of Earth's fleet, the total destruction of the enemy, they all had seen it. Some whispered in fear, others in awe. Many had ignored Relkar's call. Too distant. Too poor. Not worth the risk. But Earth had answered. And Earth had won. Inside the council hall, arguments erupted. They overstepped, one ambassador shouted. Earth deployed an entire war armada into a neutral zone. Neutral, another growled. Relkar was under attack. The machines would have wiped out everyone. This sets a precedent, a third muttered. They acted without permission. But then a quiet voice spoke up, an elder from a peaceful aquatic race. Perhaps we were wrong. Perhaps the Deathworlders are what we need. The room fell quiet. Back on Relkar, human engineers helped rebuild bridges and clear rubble. Medics treated wounded without asking for payment. Soldiers stood guard not with orders, but with honor. Commander Ilya met with Jorin, the old Relkari soldier, near the remains of their capital's council tower. Jorin held out his hand. We thought no one would come. Ilya shook it firmly. You called for help. That's all we needed. Your people, they are fierce. Ilya gave a small smile. That's what a death world makes of us. Elsewhere, Kara stood beside her team at the landing zone. They waited to board the dropship for the return to orbit. She glanced at the Relkari crowd watching them. Children held up handmade signs, scratched with crayons and carved rocks, symbols of thanks. One child ran forward and gave Kara a small wooden carving, a human and a Relkari standing side by side. For you, the child whispered. Kara bent down, touched the kid's head gently, and smiled. We'll always answer. That same day, Earth broadcast a message across open channels. It was short, but it shook the stars. We are Earth. We do not ignore cries for help. If you are in danger and no one else comes, we will. We are Deathworlders. And we bring the storm. The message spread across the galaxy like fire through dry leaves. In far corners of space, where pirates ruled and empires ignored the weak, whispers began to grow. Earth sent a war fleet for one small planet. They didn't ask for tribute, just the chance to fight for justice. What happens when Earth gets angry? The enemies of peace took notice, the predators, the tyrants, the silent watchers, each of them paused now before acting, because now, the Deathworlders were watching. When the Deathworlders answered 3 weeks later, Relkar was healing. Human engineers left behind advanced tools. Medical drones buzzed quietly, aiding local clinics. Farms restarted with Earth-grown seeds that could survive in ash-heavy soil, but more than tech, Earth had left behind something greater, hope. In a small mountain village, Bren the healer stood beside the youngest survivors, teaching them to care for wounds. Children who once hid in fear now played beside human soldiers, asking questions and wearing makeshift helmets. Far above, the Earth fleet prepared to leave. Commander Ilya gave his final report from the stone wall. Mission complete. No further threats detected. Planet secure. Enemy origin unknown, recommend deeper investigation. Then he paused and added, Relkar stood alone. Earth changed that. If others will not answer, we always will. Kara stood with her squad on the launch pad. Their armor was scorched. Their weapons dulled, but their spirits burned bright. As they boarded the return dropship, Kara took one last look at Relkar's sky, now peaceful, painted in warm orange light. Feels good, one soldier said beside her. Yeah, Kara nodded. Not because we won, but because they'll remember someone came. On Earth, the footage of the battle spread like wildfire. Not edited. Not polished. Raw clips, Relkara cries, Earth warships falling from the sky, humans fighting through fire and metal. It wasn't a story. It was a warning and an invitation. Across the galaxy, small civilizations whispered Earth's name with newfound respect. On remote mining worlds, children played with sticks pretending to be human warriors. On war-torn planets, leaders debated whether they too should call out for aid. 4.1 quiet signal was sent from a tiny moon colony on the far edge of known space. This is Outpost Alara. We are under siege. No help expected. They didn't expect a reply, but they got one. This is Earth Command. Hold your ground. A Deathworlder fleet is already en route. And once again, the stars began to rumble, because now the galaxy knew when aliens beg for help, Earth listens. But when Deathworlders answer, they don't come with words. They come with war. Asterisk.